Hey everybody, today's video is about regaining your confidence when you are chronically ill. So obviously, those of you who are suffering long-term insomnia like myself, chronic pain or chronic illness, over the course of many years, it's very common for us to lose our confidence. We lose a lot of our independence, we lose a lot of our relationships, we often lose our employment. So of course, this is going to cause a crisis in our confidence levels. So today's video is going to focus on how we can get that back. I have another little video about my personal story on losing confidence and what happened, which I can link. I think I'll have it in my Patreon. But today is just going to focus on how to get it back. All right. So the first thing I think that's super important is learning to listen to your body. Now, this is a great challenge for those of us with long-term illness, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's something that will likely involve you changing an awful lot of your lifestyle, a lot of your relationships, even your own creativity could change here. But listening to your body and giving it what it needs is the foundation of regaining back your confidence. Getting the right nutrition, I say getting enough sleep, but I'm an extreme insomniac, but at least trying to get sleep and doing the things that are necessary to set up a higher possibility of sleep at least. And moving gently the way that your body wants you to, okay? Listening to the kind of exercise that you need instead of following able-bodied people's advice on exercise, or perhaps doctors or physiotherapists who may not be in touch with the energy levels that you have. Just trust your own intuition. If you need to rest, you need to rest, okay? So the second thing I'll talk about is related to that, okay? And it's stacking activities. So an example of this is if I am making my dinner, I will not tidy up earlier on. I won't wash the dishes because I know that whilst I'm waiting for food to cook and have to stir the food, in between those times is an opportunity to wash the dishes. Or in between those times, there's an opportunity for me to put my hands up against the cupboard and stretch out my back. So I try not to repeatedly get up and down and up and down and up and down off the sofa because I feel like that movement, getting up and down and up and down, is hugely contributing to fatigue later in the day. So it's good to try to plan out your day if you have the type of brain that allows for you to do a little bit of planning, because I know that that's tough for people. But try to plan so that you're going to stack activities into small segments. In the morning time, I'm absolutely useless. I can do nothing for 2 or 3 hours. So when I get up that first time and I take my dogs out to play fetch, there I'll get a little boost from the fresh air outside. So when I come in, I try and stack 3 or 4 activities, and then I know I can rest for 2 hours after. That leads me on to my next point, which is making things easier for yourself energy wise. So just like stacking activities, I know that I'm going to be more creative in the evening if I have energy in my life for creativity. So, as you can see next to me, I sit here in this seat most of the time, and right here I have my markers, my pencils, more crafting things in this little bag. I have books if I want to read here. I have my knitting stacked right here. I have my remote controls right next to me, so I don't need to get up and down. If I'm watching something, I have my journal here if I want to write. And underneath me, I have 2 boxes underneath this sofa that are full of other little things that I might need. So I am really planning in advance not to have to get up when I know that I want to put my energy into my creativity instead of moving around. Another good little tip is one of those is a flask so that you have hot drinks next to you so you don't need to keep getting up to make tea. I live in freezing Ireland, so that one is absolutely essential. Okay, so you've got your stacking activities, plan that, and then you've got your convenience of little boxes and baskets of everything you need around you and listening to your body. So these three are the health foundations, okay, that will lead to my next segment, which is more like spiritual and mental ways of regaining confidence. So the next one is rituals, okay? So we can have a little health ritual that we do every day, and then we can have our own personal spiritual little ritual. So we've ran out of these with our lack of community. I'm sure some of you are still religious or are lucky enough to have little rituals in your lives already. But for those of us who are quite isolated, I think it's good to set them up for ourselves. So when you're ill, a lot of the time you end up blaming yourself for so many things, which is a huge reason that we lose confidence, okay? You can't follow this insanely restrictive, strict diet that you put yourself on, or you can't do the resistance bands exercises every day, or you're not able to follow your physiotherapist's advice because you didn't sleep and you're too exhausted. And then comes all the horrible self-criticism and self-blame. I've struggled with it so much myself. One thing I found that really helps me feel like I'm taking care of myself a little bit is having one or two little health rituals that are super low energy and super easy that I know I can dedicate myself to. So my personal ones, because I have severe stomach issues all my life, uh, one is making kefir. I don't know how to pronounce that word. You know, that sour yogurt that's full of good bacteria. And there's also water kefir for those of you who are vegan. Um, I'm not telling you to make this. I'm just using it that I do it every day, and it's a way of me saying to myself, you did that for yourself today. You weren't able to exercise. You ate loads of chocolate. You stayed up late and you didn't sleep again. And then I can say, yes, but I made my kefir today. I took my vitamins today. Okay. I do it every day. Another little one that I do is sprouting broccoli seeds, which is very easy once you have the setup. It's just a little terracotta holder. I can put a link afterwards. And all you do is pour the seeds in, put a little water over them, and that's it. You leave them in a dark little terracotta pot. And then you can lift the lid the next day, sprinkle some water on, and then the day after, you'll have these lovely sprouted seeds to have. So if I'm not making my kefir, I'm doing that. Those are just little rituals that I can practice every day that take very little energy. In terms of spiritual rituals, I personally have a whole bunch of different things that I do that make me feel that I'm meeting that spiritual connection with myself, my creativity being a big one. But for me, a huge one is my dogs. My dogs are my life, and making sure that they're taken care of really well is hugely beneficial for my confidence and my spirituality. So every day, getting out into the garden with them and playing fetch with them is my number one priority above everything else in the world. I play fetch with them outside 3 times a day because they're just new little dogs and they are still too scared to go for a walk, but they are confident enough to go in the garden. And that's my little ritual that I can say to myself every day. Okay, well, you did your little health ritual, you made your broccoli seeds, and you took your vitamins, and then my spiritual checklist, you took your dogs out 3 times to play fetch. Now, I know that again, some of us don't have the energy for those things, but because I got dogs, they are my top priority. I would never have got them if I knew that I wasn't able to give them the things that they need. Other examples of little rituals that are really low energy is that you could just light a candle and hum a little tune to yourself every day. It sounds silly, but if you do it at the same time every day and it's a form of self-care, it helps your nervous system to regulate. Your nervous system says, okay, well, you're taking time for yourself, and it has something beautiful to reflect on, like the beautiful light of a flame, or maybe like a really nice scent and just a moment of quiet, and it really all these little things, they add up, and they give you a sense of confidence. So my next thing, leading on from caring for my dogs, it's just caring for something. Caring for something in general puts you out of your own head, and it can be really helpful for helping just distract you from your illness and distract you from your rumination or depression or whatever it is that you're going through. So a good starting place for this is a really easy plant that requires very, very, very little care. Money plants, little succulents like money plants or sansevieria are great for this. They can thrive in the dark with hardly any water. You just need to water them once a month and maybe feed them once a year. But seeing it grow can do wonders for your confidence. And I think as each little thing builds up, the more confidence that you gain back, the more little tiny bits of spiritual energy you get. And mind you, when I'm saying spiritual, I'm not talking about God. I'm not talking about like different kind of crystal energies or anything here. Although I mean, if that's what helps you, then that's amazing. I'm just talking about when we have really bad chronic fatigue and really bad illness, like energy, the way other people talk about energy, it doesn't really raise necessarily. But I'm talking about like just like a good feeling in your mind and a good feeling of well-being in the way that you think. And that can actually lead to slightly better energy physically in your body despite what you're going through. So yeah, caring for a plant, and that can lead to caring for more things. If you find that, oh, this is for me, I quite like this nurturing, then you can move on to looking after different things after that. Maybe you have a pet, a cat or dog, or maybe you have children. And I don't have children, so I'm not going to comment there. I'm sure it's super exhausting and rewarding in equal measure. But I definitely think caring for something outside of ourselves is good for our confidence levels. So the next thing I want to move on to is my 1 minute a day rule. So I hate the word rule. I'm definitely going to change that because people with chronic illness definitely don't need rules and challenges. That's very able-bodied talk, I think. But we definitely struggle with getting things started when we're feeling really, really rubbish. And a lot of the time, I don't get anything started. So I'm certainly not doing things every day. And sometimes I'm not doing things every week. And sometimes I don't even do anything for a month. Okay. I'm no angel. I'm no chronic illness saint. But I have found that starting something, if I say to myself, you only have to do this for 1 minute and then you can stop, that has been a helpful little tool because often when I do start for 1 minute, I end up doing 5 minutes or I end up doing 10 minutes. And that can build into like a longer, better habit over time. I think no matter how tired we are, example, say I want to just draw or color in for 1 minute. I think we can manage 60 seconds. And it's just that little act that it's like a propellant. You can surprise yourself with how much you'll get done afterwards. Then this leads to my next point, which is starting the smallest project in the world, but that you know is going to be long term. Okay. So, for example, if you are interested in plants and horticulture, it's buying some seeds. That's the first step. Say, this week I'm going to buy some seeds. Literally that small. Start that small. Then the following week, say, I'm going to buy a pot and soil. Buy the pot and soil. The next week, say, I'm going to put soil and seeds in and water them. Okay, so tiny little steps each week, the smallest goal possible, but something that will last long term can really build your confidence because you're less likely to fail if you put your expectations really low from the beginning. Another great example of this is like a tiny miniature sketchbook. Say, I'm going to draw stickmen every day for a year, okay? And start with the 1 minute rule. Just do 1 minute, draw something that's next to you for 1 minute. And if you do that for 1 minute every day, or you can start less than that, say you're going to do it for 1 minute every week. By the end of the year, that's really going to have added up. You'll actually have a little sketchbook full of little drawings. Yeah, and this will really help your confidence. So I definitely think being really careful with how high we set our expectations when we're chronically ill can make a massive difference between whether we're going to do anything at all or whether we're going to do nothing at all. Okay, now this one is trickier because some of us are very isolated and don't have the ability to care for ourselves independently. But if you are relying quite heavily on somebody else for care, and if there is any opportunity for you to do things by yourself, that can be really, really helpful in getting back some confidence. So I'll go back to my story a bit with this. Whenever I was younger, I was very independent and I moved abroad multiple times by myself and lived alone and just sort of navigated a lot of life by myself. Figuring things out in other languages, like how to pay the bills, how to ride a motorbike in Hanoi, all this kind of crazy stuff. And even though I was very sick back then, I was still like hyper independent. It wasn't until the last few years, the last 5 years, that I got so sick that I became heavily, heavily dependent on my partner. And even though I love him, it has been absolutely crushing for my confidence. The other thing that's been really crushing is not being able to drive. I have really bad nerve pain in my down the left side of my body, and my arm is too weak to pick up the what's it called, the handbrake. I know you can get the automatic button handbrakes, but at the moment, all the drive instructors in my area only have that handbrake. Because I live in a really rural area, so I'm restricted with the teachers. And then on top of that, my insomnia is so severe now that it is just far too dangerous for me to drive. I don't trust myself at all. But this means that I have to get my partner to bring me anywhere I want to go, and consequently, because he works a lot, I'm just always in the house by myself. And this has been really awful for my confidence. So, one thing that I try to do on occasion, if we have time and my partner can help me with it, is to try to do things by myself again. I went to visit some friends, and after years and years, like years and years of just being stuck in this house, the act of getting, because there's no public transport here either. So my partner drove me to where there was public transport. I got the public transport by myself. I went and met my friends, and after not seeing them for years, and just that act of going and doing that little trip alone and just being back in normal life again was exceedingly good for my confidence. It gave me such a boost for months after. It's crazy to have went from such like hyper independent life to the life that I have now, and I'm coming to terms with it slowly. But yeah, it's not easy, so I totally get it. But yeah, if you can, I know it's not possible for all of us, but if you can sometimes do something by yourself, then do push yourself, because it can be really rewarding. Again, this moves on to if it's possible for you to join something. So I joined a little writers group here over the last few years. Unfortunately, I couldn't go in the past year because in the wintertime we're isolating, trying to avoid COVID and the vomiting bug and everything that's been going around. And in the summer, I was too sick to go. But I went the previous 2 years. It was on once every 2 weeks because my partner was able to drive me. It was at night. And again, it did wonders for my confidence, really helped me break out of the isolation that I've been in. And I met like a diverse group of people that I wouldn't usually have spent time with, because the majority of the people there were retired. A lot of people my age are working or busy with children, so they're not really often at these hobby groups. But it was lovely to speak to different generations and to get to share that little bit of creativity. And talking in a little group like that is so good for your nervous system whenever you've been going through isolation, which is it's really regulating and really helpful for calming you down and then making your symptoms a little bit better. So I highly advise, if you're lucky enough to be living in a city and you're not as trapped in rural isolation as me, then if you can find the energy to, definitely try to join something that you enjoy, that isn't too hard on you physically. Okay. Then, of course, for those of you who can't get out and about or who are as isolated as I am, there are online things that you can join. I personally much prefer in person and face to face. I feel it's so much better for my nervous system and so much better for my mental health. But when I'm stuck with severe illness or avoiding these terrible bugs that are going around, then I have no option but to go online. And I have found that there have been some online resources that have helped me. And I've made a couple of really excellent friends online over the last few years that I absolutely wouldn't have survived without. So do reach out and try and find online illness communities, and try not to be spending too much time on your own. Another little random one that helped me, because I do love writing, was posting things online, like on Reddit, for example. Just the fear of rejection and getting over that fear of rejection has been good for my confidence. Posting these videos, I haven't actually posted any yet. I decided that I would make 20 videos before I posted any, because this illness means that I'm making everything super, super slowly. But just sitting in front of the camera and facing the fear of thinking, God, you're going to look like such an idiot here, that in itself is helping my confidence. So yeah, if there's anywhere that you can post anything, any little thoughts, feelings, you could have a little poetry blog. You can even just write little letters to yourself, like as a practice, as a beginning. But yeah, sharing your thoughts with the world, and learning how to deal with rejection. Those are really good for confidence levels too. So I will link the another video I did that's specifically all about somatic exercises and alternatives to meditation, because I'm not going to get into that in this video, but it's linked. So if you would like to hear a little bit more about using those kind of techniques for regaining your confidence, then check that out. Then obviously I'm just going to circle back again to like how health really is at the foundation of this, like trying to manage your health. You're never going to regain your confidence if you aren't looking after your body as best as you can. So on, as we mentioned, the little health ritual daily, I just want to say, if you can, getting outside every day just for a little bit, if you have a balcony or even you just have a window, or you can stand outside in your garden and just get like a couple of breaths of fresh air every day, and as much healthy food as you're able to digest. I have so many severe issues with really healthy food. Digesting fruit and vegetables and protein is really difficult for me. But like getting in as much as I know I can handle, like that's like makes me feel more confident. So trying to do as much of that as you can. That's like quite tired advice, which is why I didn't want to focus on it too much in my video, but it really is like it really is the foundation of everything else. Okay, and I'll just say a final one for the video. They've been a little bit all over the place. Sorry, not in a very good chronological order or order of any sense. But trying something new every now and again. Certainly not trying something new all the time. We're limited. Our routines are limited with illness. But I like to try lots of different creative things when I have the energy, and that gives me a boost of confidence. Um, just whatever you like, whatever is available to you, whatever resources are around you, use them. Get to the library if you have enough energy. I think they have lots of different like book groups, and they've got like community events, something like that. That's something different, something new. If it can be around people, which I wish I had more of in my life, then that is the one that I would push for the most. And it doesn't matter if you're bad at it or terrible at it. And it doesn't matter if you didn't enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy it, move on. Try something else like a few months later. But trying something new and having some variety in life really how, is how I cope. I wouldn't cope without variety. I have the kind of brain that absolutely adores novelty. And I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. I've accepted I'm never going to get very good at anything because my passion is trying new things. And whenever I have such limited energy, whenever I have a good day, and if I manage to get some rest, I know I want to try something different. I want to paint with a different type of paint. I want to watch a completely different kind of show. I want to try a totally different type of exercise. I want to go to a brand new place. I want to eat something completely new. Like, obviously, eating new things is going to cause a severe allergic reaction, and dancing is probably going to cause lots of pain, a different kind of dance. But I mean, within your limits, you've got to try to find variety within the limits and the tests that we have to face. It's possible. It's possible. So in the comments, if you want to like know anything that's helped you, anything that's added variety to your life, any plant that you have named and adore that has helped you, your little pets that have helped you to cope. If there's anything I haven't covered, anything that you think would help me, anything that can add to my list, that would be really great. Thanks for listening, and I'll link the other videos that are related to this one, and check them out if you want some more just kind of friendly, all over the place advice from somebody who has really been through the mill. All right, cheers, bye.